This is very much out of the norm.
A real estate agent claims she was robbed while showing a Birmingham house. Multiple schools were locked down. Was she set up? Or is there more to this story?
Two criminals weren't going to let a fence like this stop them from committing their crime. It was also caught on tape, and whether they knew they were being watched or not, it didn't seem to bother them.
It's going to stay cool the next couple of days, but at least we'll see some sunshine and more dry weather. It's later in the week when that big warm-up comes our way.
Fox 2 News. News that works for you. Starts now.
A real estate agent getting ready to show a house in Birmingham claims she was robbed on the job.
The ordeal disrupting the school day for multiple schools throughout the neighborhood as police search for a suspect. Fox 2's Taryn Asher is here tonight with details. Taryn?
And this robbery created quite a bit of chaos. 3 Birmingham elementary schools were on lockdown for a short time. It appeared the real estate agent had been set up by a bogus house buyer. But right now, police are not so sure.
I saw her trying to gain access to the home through the lockbox, and that was it.
Erin Alexander, who lives next door, says the next thing she knew, several police cars had surrounded this Birmingham Boulevard house. A real estate agent claimed she got a call from a prospective buyer who wanted to see the house. He asked her to take pictures of the basement furnace, which she told officers she was doing when a masked man with a rifle approached her from behind and robbed her.
And had left her in one of the storage rooms with her back against a door and then kind of held her captive with like a broom or something, not allowing her to leave. So that was kind of scary.
The real estate agent told police the thief stole her jewelry and her cell phone. She was eventually able to escape the basement room, flagged down a mailman who called police. Birmingham police locked down 3 area elementary schools as they searched the area. Investigators tell Fox 2 they are now investigating the validity of the agent's story.
The policeman kind of pulled me aside and he said, the story isn't panning out. It doesn't look like it is what she's portraying it to be. Originally, she said that they took like a watch and like a 4-carat diamond.
We're always concerned about our agents and their safety in the field.
Don Amalfitano, who manages Caldwell Banker in Birmingham, says they listed the house, but the woman who showed it works for another agency. Although there have been very few dangerous incidents over the years, he's already reminded his 105 agents what precautions to take. Make sure you are familiar with your clients, get a copy of their driver's license, and let the agency know what house you plan to show, just in case.
They can either share that with our staff so that it's available in case, and that they have the opportunity to let the people know, or an agent or another staff member, where they're going to be showing and where they're at, so that they can always be conscious of safety and maybe a rescue if needed.
Now, we tried to speak to the agent today, but we're told that she wanted to stay anonymous. Right now, police are still investigating her story. Monica, back to you.
Well, Taryn, why are police questioning her story in the first place?
Well, it really comes down to the fact that she has changed it, we've been told. You heard a little bit from that neighbor. She has changed it a bit, maybe from what we understand, from what was stolen from her. So police are trying to narrow that down still, and still searching for that suspect as we speak.
All right, trying to get to the bottom of it. Thanks, Taryn, for that live report.
Tonight in Warren, the City Council approves a proposal that could keep the mayor in office for a long time to come. The council agreeing to raise the mayor's term limits to a total of 5, meaning the mayor could serve a total term of 20 years. Right now, Mayor Jim Fouts is in his 3rd term, which is the current limit. A group of protesters showed up to speak out against the idea.
They had tried to do this during a special meeting last month in the middle of a snowstorm, and the Attorney General rejected it. So within the last couple of days, they're just adding it onto a council meeting to try to further move that on.
Now, the issue still needs final approval from the voters. It will appear on the ballot this November.
Tonight, parents pack a Northville School Board meeting over a book being used in a high school class. Students in Northville High's AP English Literature and Composition course were assigned to read Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. But some parents complained about the novel because it addresses the topics of racism, incest, and child molestation. Some went as far as calling the book pornography, and they want it dropped from the curriculum.
I don't feel it's appropriate material for our children. Maybe when they're an adult and they've had some life experiences under the belt, that would be a better educational tool for them to use, but not as a teenager.
I know the 17 and 18-year-olds that make up this class can handle the content, and I stand with them in their First Amendment right to read The Bluest Eye at Northville High with the support of their teachers.
The book has been part of the course since the early 90s.
Thieves targeting cars in the parking lot of a Detroit school. We're told it's been going on for the last 2 years, but now their latest heist has been caught on video. Fox 2's Dave Spencer on the case.
Every time I take a step forward, I have to take 3 steps back.
It's hard for Tiffany Hudson to watch her 2004 GMC Envoy just drive away with someone else behind the wheel.
I've been saving and saving and saving for this vehicle for me and my children.
Stolen around noon on Tuesday from a fenced-in parking lot at a DPS school at the corner of Outer Drive and Hubble. The criminals in this case were resourceful, but they were also sloppy. Take a look on the sidewalk. Some of the evidence left behind. The brick that was used to literally smash the club off the steering wheel still left behind. All of this was captured on video from a private investigator who just happened to be in the right place at the right time. Tiffany found the PI by accident, thinking it was her stolen car.
Like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to startle you, but someone just stole my vehicle and it's really similar to yours. And he was like, oh, I know. I've seen it all.
The PI was working a separate case but started recording when he saw a guy pick up a landscape brick and smash it as if he was testing a weapon. He kept recording as the man and another walk into the lot, straight to the victim's GMC. In no time, they pick the lock, spend 2 minutes hammering away at the club, then they drive off. A valuable recording catching a crime as it happens.
All the footage from the beginning to the end, from them choosing a brick to them driving off with my vehicle.
From the looks of things, it didn't appear to be their first time. In fact, it wasn't the first time it happened to Tiffany.
Last year, I had a Concorde, and they stole that out of the parking lot.
When she went looking for help from police, explaining that she had this video, she says they didn't want it.
They never asked to see it. I told them several times, and they told me that if I find my car, to let them know.
Police told me detectives typically follow up with victims and take the evidence at a later date. But this mom is worried about what's happening right now.
Me and my babies just still need the vehicle.
In Detroit, Dave Spencer, Fox 2 News.
Metro Detroiters bracing for the closure of I-275, packing a public meeting in Livonia. MDOT officials say preliminary work is already underway on the $75 million reconstruction project. Crews will be working on the shoulders of the freeway, lanes and bridges. Right now, eastbound 7 Mile is closed over the freeway. Southbound I-275 is expected to shut down in early May, but the specific date has not yet been released. We have set up a link with more information on fox2detroit.com.
Joe Gentz now says he acted alone and he's ready to tell all in court. What could this mean for Bob Bashara and his request for a new trial?
Plus, a new round of Detroit school officials appear in federal court accused of stealing from the children. What the judge admitted about her relationship with one of the defendants.
Tonight, on the edge.
I had to report it. I've told him no. I've told him stop.
She claims she was on the receiving end of unwanted sexual advances.
He grabbed the back of my head, forced it down to his genital area.
And was even choked inside a police station.
It was squeezing very hard.
An Allen Park police officer says her badge could not protect her from the advances of a higher-ranking cop, and when she tried to report it,
they didn't take it serious.
Now another police agency could be stepping in, and that's not all.
Criminal charges are being pursued here, and rightly so.
It's a story you'll only see tonight on The Edge.
Tonight, police say this man could be to blame for stabbing a cab driver in Detroit. The man was picked up at a casino and demanded to be dropped off at a known drug house. When the driver refused, the two got into a fight, ending with the passenger allegedly stabbing the cab driver. The suspect ran away and the cab driver drove himself to the hospital. The suspect is described as a black man, about 35 years old, 5'7", about 150 pounds. He was last seen wearing an orange hat, orange hooded sweatshirt, gray jogging pants, and gray gym shoes.
Bob Bashara back in court fighting for a new trial in the murder of his wife Jane. Big question now is whether the hitman he's convicted of hiring will testify. Fox 2's Amy Lang with the latest from court.
Joseph Gantz has never testified in open court, but now he's signed an affidavit saying he acted alone and he's ready to tell all.
At this time, have you made a decision?
Yes, ma'am.
And what's that decision?
Tell all.
That's wrong. Raise your right hand.
Joseph Gantz ready to tell all. He's the handyman serving up to 28 years in prison for second-degree murder in the death of Jane Bashara. Gantz told police Bob Bashara paid him to kill her. But recently Gantz signed this affidavit saying Bob had nothing to do with it, that he was mad at Bob for not paying him for work he'd done on his property and went to his house that night to steal, then lost control when he saw Jane. An admission that could lead to a first-degree murder charge for Gantz and life in prison.
You understand that by taking that stand, that it will subject you to the penalties of up to life if they reinstate this charge against you?
I understand that.
Earlier, Gantz's attorney had told Judge Vonda Evans Gantz only wanted to testify about specific things.
He wishes to testify and be cross-examined about how he was treated and how his testimony was shaped towards Mr. Bashara, to implicate Mr. Bashara, and how he was threatened and coaxed in the Grosse Pointe Park Police Station.
But the judge told him he couldn't pick and choose.
It's all or nothing.
Yes, ma'am.
If you're going to testify, you're going to testify to everything that you indicated in that affidavit.
Judge Evans telling Gantz and his attorney before he testifies they have to review an investigative subpoena of Joe Gantz under oath detailing Jane's murder and Bashara's role in it. Changing that story now would lead to a perjury charge as well.
If you're asking me that he's too dumb to understand what he's doing, I would say no, but I think, let's be honest, Joe is semi-literate. Well, that's what I'm there for, is to help him.
Attorney John Holler was appointed to represent Joe Gantz, a man with a diminished IQ, a man who he says has been attacked while in prison for snitching on Bashara. So why would Gantz change his story now and subject himself to even more prison time?
Why he is changing it now, why do any of us pause and reflect on what we've done and what we've said?
The next court date is April 21st. At that time, it will be determined if Joe Gantz will indeed testify. The judge saying that would take about 3 or 4 days. In Detroit, I'm Amy Lang, Fox 2 News.
Meanwhile, a familiar face making a surprise appearance at today's hearing, sitting right behind Bob Bashara, former Detroit City Councilwoman Monica Conyers. She, of course, spent time in prison herself after pleading guilty to bribery, but now she tells us she recently passed the bar and started working at a local law firm that's defending Joe Gantz. She says she came to court to learn more about the process.
Everybody deserves second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth chances, as many as you can get to finally get your foot in the right direction and to make something of yourself and do better with your life. I just know I like helping people. I think that's my God-given talent, is helping people, but I know not to help people to my detriment again.
Now, Monica Conyers says she is still working on getting her law license, but would not confirm in which state she passed the bar.
A date is set for voters to decide who will fill former Senator Virgil Smith's vacant seat. The primary will be held August 2nd. At the same time, primaries are held for the State House of Representatives. The special election will be November 8th. That's the same day we vote for president. The winner will finish the remaining 2 years of the Detroit Democrats' term. Smith was sentenced to 10 months in jail for shooting up his ex-wife's car. He submitted his resignation April 1st, effective today. 4 more DPS administrators appear before a federal judge. They're among a dozen charged in a scheme that robbed Detroit students of the supplies they need to learn.
One of the suspects, a principal who actually appeared on the Ellen DeGeneres show to accept a $500,000 donation. Fox 2's Eric Erickson with more.
Accused of accepting kickbacks, 4 more of 13 Detroit Public School employees and a vendor arraigned inside federal court Tuesday. Tanya Bowman, Clara Smith, Jermla Johnson, and Ronald Alexander, charged with bribery and a kickback scheme believed to have taken nearly $1 million through a school supply vendor, depriving students and teachers of more than $2.7 million in resources. Alexander, former principal of Detroit's Spain Elementary Middle School, is charged for pocketing $23,000. Alexander smiling on the Ellen show earlier this year as the school is set to receive $500,000 in donations.
Spain is one of the finest performing arts schools in the city of Detroit, but because of cutbacks, we don't have a violin teacher, we don't have an orchestra teacher, and we don't have a drama teacher.
Cutbacks, or what prosecutors say are kickbacks. 48-year-old Tanya Bowman, the former principal of Osborne Collegiate Academy, is also charged for taking more than $12,000, along with 56-year-old Jermla Johnson, principal of Earhart Elementary Middle School, charged for pocketing $23,000, and 67-year-old Clara Smith, principal of Thurkel Elementary Middle School, charged for raking in $194,000. Mayor Mike Duggan Tuesday demanding a locally driven district.
We've seen these corruption charges that occurred under state management. It's time to return control to the local elected officials.
While nearly all defendants and attorneys declined comment to Fox 2 Tuesday, Jermla Johnson seen crying in court. Magistrate Elizabeth Stafford taking a moment to inform everyone that Johnson is an old friend. Johnson's attorney telling Fox 2, quote, "Today is a very sad day." Each principal was given a $10,000 bond. They all face up to 5 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. Outside of federal court, America Erickson, Fox 2 News.
Big changes coming to Ford Motor Company. I don't know, not the cars, but the building.
And the researchers who first exposed Flint's water crisis are back with new results about the lead. The news isn't all bad, but it's not great either. Details straight ahead.
In the job shop tonight, Durham School Services is looking for new bus drivers. The company hiring as many as 20 new employees. All positions are part-time and offer flexible hours. You must have a commercial driver's license with passenger and school endorsements. You'll also have to pass a background check, drug test, and a physical. Starting pay is $15.30 an hour. For more information and a link to apply, head to the job shop at fox2detroit.com.
He was one of the first to sound the alarm in Flint, and several months later, he says the water is still not safe to drink. Dr. Mark Edwards says part of the problem is not enough people are turning on the faucets. The lack of water flowing through the system is slowing the process of flushing out the lead and recoating the pipes. Edwards says if water use continues at its current level, it could take months or even years to get rid of all that lead.
If we want to help the system recover, we have to get water moving through these pipes to speed up the rate at which these loose deposits are removed into the water. And this is going to require more volume of water moving through the system, and also in some cases higher velocities to clean those deposits out of the pipe.
Now there is good news. Dr. Edwards says lead levels are dropping, but are still above federal standards for safety.
Reverend Jesse Jackson and Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan announced a new plan to bust blight in the city. The plan calls for hiring more Detroit-based minority-owned contractors to tear down abandoned structures. City will offer certification discounts to contractors to help put more Detroiters on the job, demolishing and rehabbing houses.
The amount of houses that must be torn down, the number that can be salvaged, the number of youth that can go in trade skill. When those houses come back, drugstores will come back, grocery stores will come back, car dealerships will come back. That will be a renaissance, and that is well on the way now in Detroit.
5,000 structures are slated to be demolished by the end of this year. The city will hold a contractor job fair on May 13th. We have a link to more information on fox2detroit.com. Ford's top executive unveiling big plans today to transform the corporate campus in Dearborn.
Fox News' Charlie Langton with an inside look at the makeover and what it means for workers.
I think it's fantastic. It's about time.
It's about time for Ford Motor Company to renovate its 60-year-old Dearborn facilities into, well, you tell us, Mark Fields.
We're taking people that are strewn about in 70 different buildings and ultimately putting them on 2 new beautiful campuses.
And construction of the first of these 2 beautiful campuses, the Product Campus, starts this month.
It's about promoting employee wellness. We're going to have lots of walking areas, green spaces, health centers. And then also, finally, it's important for the company to emphasize sustainability.
Sustainability meaning cut energy costs by 50%, save water, zero waste, zero energy over a 10-year period. But what about the historical traditions of the Ford Motor Company?
We want to make sure that we preserve those artifacts and some of those architectural elements that pay tribute to our past, but also point to a very exciting future for Ford.
Look at that Ford logo right there. A lot of changes going on. Do you think they should change that?
No.
It's old, though.
Doesn't matter. Sometimes old is good.
We love the Ford Oval.
And the corporate webcast announcement to Ford's employees says it all.
The transformation of the Dearborn campus marks another defining moment in Ford's history.
You think you're going to be able to handle all the extra business in the cafeteria?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, no problem.
What are you looking forward to?
Selling more chicken.
Later this year, World Headquarters will be renovated for a more modern cafe and updated public workspaces.
Does that mean the glass house is going to be gone?
Clearly, we're going to be keeping the glass house, upgrading it, and making it bright and shiny for the 21st century.
In Dearborn, Charlie Langton, Fox 2 News.
I'm meteorologist Rick Schluterman. After all the rain, snow, and